Hi friends, it's Hollylolly here, and I'm so glad you're tuning in. You know, I am often asked by people who are considering moving to Japan what advice I can give them. I answer your comments under the video as much as I can, but I have decided to make a separate video where I tell you what you should know about Japan if you're traveling here for the first time, and maybe I can save you from some mistakes you definitely should not make in Japan. Let's get started. So, the first thing to do is choose an airport. If you have to choose between Narita and Hokkaido, I would advise you to fly to Hokkaido. Why Hokkaido? Because Hokkaido is right in Tokyo, and you'll need about half an hour to get to the city center. If you fly to Narita Airport, it is in Chiba Prefecture, which is close to Tokyo. It takes about an hour and a half to get to the center of Tokyo. From the airport you can either take a taxi or the subway, but remember that taxis in Tokyo are insanely expensive, and to get from Narita to the center of Tokyo, for example, you will have to pay about $150 to $180. From Hokkaido, of course, it will be cheaper, but you also have the option of taking the subway. If you don't have 10 suitcases with you, of course, I think the subway is the perfect way to get around. By the way, and this is an important point, subway is good if it's not night time, because trains don't run at night. There are so many sights, so many cool places that you want to see, that you can walk around until late at night. But always keep your time in mind and remember that the subway and other public transport does not work between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. If you don't make it in time, you'll have to take expensive taxis, which is not good because it will hit your wallet. And while we're on the subject of the subway, I can't resist recommending that you buy a Pasmo or Suica card. These two payment systems will be a real lifesaver in any situation. What is a Pasmo card? You can buy it or install an application on your mobile phone and load it with cash. What can the Pasmo card do? For example, you can use it to pay easily when you get on or off the train. Simply swipe it and your account will be charged according to the number of stations traveled, as the cost of the journey depends on the distance traveled. Pasmo and Suica can also be used in any konbini and even in some supermarkets. You can pay for hot drinks, vending machines, and much more. These cards are truly indispensable. Such an advertisement for Pasmo cards, but they really do make life easier, and of course it is much more convenient to use Pasmo or Suica than to try to figure out the metro system on your own, calculate the fare from point A to point B, and buy separate tickets to pay for your journey correctly. To be honest, I've never bought a single ticket for the subway, because the whole procedure scares me. But with Pasmo or Suica, you don't have to calculate anything, you just put your card on when you get on and off. The correct amount is withdrawn and you're happy. And by the way, the next important piece of advice is to have cash, at least some cash, a certain amount, but at least a little, because here you can't pay with your card everywhere, and I'm not even talking about Apple Pay. Very often, when you try to pay with your phone, the shop assistants are surprised. What is this? What is Apple Pay? What do you want from me? So keep your cash handy. And by the way, in places where there are a lot of attractions, of course there is street food, and where there is street food, you will most likely not be able to pay with a card, only with cash. And if you decide not to visit Tokyo, but other cities and towns in general, then cash is super and very necessary for you, because the yen is a very unstable currency now. You will say, which one is it stable now? Yes, I agree, but we are talking about Japan. I would advise you to get an app that shows you currency conversions in real time. Why is that? Well, for example, I recently wanted to make a TikTok or a shorts, which a lot of people are making now, about how to navigate the currency, how to convert yen into dollars. And whereas before 3,500 yen was just $35, very easy to count, now 3,500 yen is $23. And of course, this app will help you navigate the costs correctly. Of course, I would also advise you to research prices in Japan. To know how much you will have to spend on food, it is important to understand food prices. Of course, you will be booking your accommodation in advance, so you will already know how much you will need to spend on traveling and staying in a hotel for the right length of time. Very often there is a free toilet in the konbini, and if you are caught off guard, you can find a konbini and use a free, clean toilet there. You can also buy tickets for various concerts and events, book bus tickets and much, much more at a konbini. I think konbini are a treasure trove of usefulness, a magic wand, because they are open 24 hours a day and you can do almost anything there. Of course, it is much cheaper to buy food in a supermarket than in a konbini, but let me tell you what a konbini is, because I love these places. The first konbini in Japan appeared in 1970 and were modeled on American stores. The most popular are 7-Eleven and Family Mart. What's a konbini? It's a convenience store where you can buy just about anything. Sandwiches, snacks, lunches, drinks. You can buy stationery, medicine, necessities, household goods. You can also send mail, letters, large packages. You can print and scan documents. There are also machines in the Konbini where you can get all kinds of certificates. For example, I recently needed a certificate of family composition and I didn't know that you could just get it at the Konbini. So they told me that you can either go to the municipality and get it there, or you can go to the Konbini where you just scan your card and the machine will issue a certificate of family composition. I was surprised. By the way, I often see tourists who take brochures with maps, a map of the subway, and start planning something, working out routes. To be honest, I can't see the point of it, because it's very convenient to plan a route from point A to point B on Google Maps. For example, you can see what time you need to arrive, what platform you need to use, so everything is calculated for you. You just have to get to the right platform at the right time. Of course, it is better to go down and wait for the train at least a few minutes in advance, because it's important to take into account the fact that you are not familiar with the underground. But look, if the train is 5 minutes early, you might think, oh, I'll get on that train. Don't do that. Make sure it's really your train, because you've got all the details in your maps. If it says the train leaves at 51 minutes, that means it arrives at 50 minutes, and it takes about a minute for all the people to get on. And look out, it always says which train you need. There's the local train, which stops at every station, and there's the express train. The express train only stops at major stations. And at the beginning of my arrival in Japan, I found myself in such a situation. The express train arrived 3 minutes ahead of schedule, and I thought, the direction is the same, I'll get on it. I ended up going very far, and then I was scared trying to figure out how to get back from there, how to rearrange the route. I was so stressed. So pay attention, local is the blue, or express is the red. Then, of course, there's the rapid. So if Google Maps says you want the rapid, pick it and get on. Again, use Google Maps to see what time you need to get on, and you won't go wrong. The rapid is a train that combines the functions of an express train and a local train, meaning it stops at both main stations and some smaller stations, but not all. Also, many tourists in Japan make a huge mistake. They head to the most popular spots without making a reservation first. Just a heads up, this is Japan, folks. You've got to book everything in advance because there are so many people who want to get to this exact place at the same time as you. In particular, the places that are most popular on social media and in guidebooks probably require advance booking. As soon as I got to Japan, I thought, I'll go check out a Pokemon cafe. When I arrived, they asked if I had a reservation. I told them I didn't have a reservation. I was told that I would need to make a reservation 6 months in advance. I was like, oh my god, 6 months in advance? Be aware of this peculiarity and plan your trips to popular places. You can't even buy tickets for Disneyland at the gate anymore. You have to book in advance to be sure you'll get to the place you want to go. One more thing, if you're not sure how to use a Japanese restroom, don't press all the buttons at once. I've also seen some pretty scary comments that say if you push all the buttons, you'll get splashed with water. You won't get splashed with water because you need to be in a certain position on the toilet bowl for that to happen. It's like you need to make a little pressure for the toilet bowl to know you're in place. In this case, it can really pour water on you, but when you're just looking for the flush button, it won't happen. At first, it was like a spaceship for me. I thought, I just need one button. Where is it on this panel? Sometimes there's a dubbed version in English, so you just look for the flush button. If it's not written anywhere, you'll need to look for the spiral designation. That's the spiral you'll need to click on. I'll show you what the flush button looks like. It's not uncommon to find different button sets in different places. I had one experience where I did well in one restaurant. I found the button, I did it. But in another, there was a completely different set of buttons. And if in the first cafe the button was somewhere at the bottom left, in another cafe it can be on the wall or somewhere else. In general, toilets are different everywhere. At first, it was a bit overwhelming because you spend a lot of time looking for that one button. In the end, you turn on music, listen to the sound of water, make a lot of settings, but not what you need. As a reminder, there are almost no litter bins in Japan, so make sure you bring your backpack or bag and don't forget to put rubbish bags in it. Even if you buy street food and don't like it, you won't find a place to throw it away. You'll have to wrap it up in your own bag and carry it around with you until you get home and can throw it away. And Konbini is pretty much the only place where there are bins. When is the best time to visit Japan and Tokyo in particular? Of course, the best time to visit this wonderful country is in spring and autumn. This is when the weather is probably close to perfect. In the summer, the heat can be unbearable and you will need to carry an umbrella everywhere, as many Japanese do, to protect yourself from the scorching sun. Or if you come in June, you'll be in the rainy season, with torrential downpours almost every day or every other day for the entire month. But if you come in June, don't worry, it's fine because the rain is very warm and stops quickly. If you don't have an umbrella, you can buy one on every corner, near every konbini, because as soon as it starts to rain, umbrellas are for sale. They also sell special rain boots, I don't know what they're called, but you can wear them in the rain too. I even bought one for myself, although I don't know why, I haven't used it yet. For example, if you go to a concert and you don't want to get your nice shoes wet and you have to cross the road, you put on these transparent boots and you walk over the puddles. When you get to where you need to go, you take them off and either throw them away or save them for next time. Unlike regular shoe covers, these rain boots look more stylish and are very convenient for getting around in the rain. Also, don't worry about walking around with an umbrella and having water dripping on the floor wherever you go. In Japan, there is always a special machine at the entrance of various shops and restaurants that automatically puts a cover on your umbrella. This keeps everything clean and tidy, even when it rains. By the way, when it rains, the subway is always clean. There is no mud, no swamp. Everything is perfectly clean here. So what's this in my hand? I'll tell you all about it. But first I want to tell you this. The Japanese are great inventors. And if you come to Japan in the summer, you will find a huge number of inventions to deal with the heat. You will see a lot of Japanese people using fans. There are little pocket fans that you can carry around in the street to cool yourself down. They also wear special cooling collars around their necks. They put it in the freezer for 20 minutes and then they take it out before they go out, put it on, and it cools them down for 8 hours. I've got one for myself, but to be honest, I've never worn it because I'm afraid my neck will get cold. I'm very sensitive to draft, to ice water. By the way, they serve it for free in all the cafes here, and even in winter, when it's cold, they still serve you ice water whether you want it or not. So if you don't want it, you have to say so in advance, preferably in a way that is understood. There are a lot of different cooling pads on the market. There are wipes with a cooling effect. There are cooling sprays that you spray on yourself and you immediately get a frosty effect on your skin for a while. There are even cooling bed sheets so you can sleep a little cooler. But in winter there is another problem, the cold. There is no central heating in the houses and flats, so you have to find ways to keep warm. Now I have a nice little heating device. I bought it for myself. You charge it and it warms you up for a few hours. I don't know exactly how long. It's very practical. You can buy 2 warmers, put them in your pocket, and when it gets cold, you just put your hands in your pocket and you get warm. It's very warm and comfortable. What's also cool is that this thing is cute, kawaii, very Japanese. There are insoles that have a warming effect. The Japanese also like to use heating pads, which are also warming. There are even thermal jackets and vests that you charge at home before you go out, and then they warm you up outside. Of course, you've probably heard of kotatsu, which is a table with a bed sheet that you can climb into like a kitten and keep warm. That's all for now. Arigato to you all for watching. Watch my next videos, subscribe to the channel, like, comment, and see you in new videos.